Well, I just bought that.
See? Impulse purchasing is so much better now.
Right.
Well, there was only one left, so it really forced me into my purchase.
There you go. All right, well, it's 10 o'clock. You guys want to go?
Yeah,
Yes,
whenever you're ready.
All right, well, welcome back to Keep Indiana Learning Summer Conference. I am Tim Wilhelmus. I'm one of the Evansville Vanderburg School Corporation Innovation Curriculum and Technology Specialist, as well as an English teacher at Central High School. And we're here for connecting with your hashtag CanvasFAM. Just a quick reminder that if you need closed captioning, you can enable that through Zoom and turn on the transcript feature. Also know that if you have questions, you can add those to the Zoom chat or to the Whova chat, whatever your preferred platform is at this time. I don't want to say a whole lot more other than to say I'm super excited to be hosting these two guys. They're truly two of Indiana's most remarkable ed tech folks, and they regularly kick butt and take names. So I'm just going to hand it over to them and let them sweep you away.
Woo!
That's way too nice, Marcus. Way too nice.
I mean, couple of things. First of all, I am confident I have never been referred to as remarkable.
Never.
Until today.
No.
Until today.
In the history of my lifetime, I don't think it's ever happened.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So we are super excited to be hosting this session. Thank you for the introduction, Tim. My name is Eddie Small. I'm here with my good friend, Marcus Painter, and we are the Canvas Casters. We'll talk a little bit more about who the Canvas Casters are and what that product is, but I think we're just really here to help you connect with a larger audience with the Canvas family, which what we consider the hashtag CanvasFAM out there in Canvas land. So if you're a Canvas user, if you're brand new to the platform, which we know we have a lot of people probably joining us that are brand new, we've got some people joining that are probably intermediate, and then we might have a few that are super advanced. So this is going to be kind of a base level of things that you may or may not know that Canvas offers for connection. And I think I get really excited when this topic comes up because it's something that drew me to Canvas as a platform, and that made me super excited about using Canvas. Marcus, I think we can probably agree on that.
Yeah, and I think what I hope that everybody can sort of take away from our time today is particularly the folks that are new to Canvas, but for all of us, I think that all of the content from today is really focusing on providing you guys with all of the different outlets and networks, if you will, to make sure that you're kind of hooked in and connected with the larger, population. I think a lot of times, especially when you're starting with something new, especially with Canvas, I mean, I'll say there's a level of intimidation to starting something brand new like Canvas. We need to know and we need to see that there are other people in the same boat. And so I think that a lot of what we'll share today will be really helpful for all Canvas users, because it's going to help you see that, like, you're not alone, you're not on an island. There are other people that have the same questions, and there are always, and this is the great part of this, there are always people that can help you within sort of the CanvasFAM. So we say CanvasFAM all the time, hashtag CanvasFAM. If you're a Twitter user, that's what you need to get to know that hashtag. When you are on Twitter, search hashtag CanvasFAM, and we've got it to the point now, Eddie, where pretty much everybody who's talking Canvas is going to be at least mentioning Canvas, mentioning Canvas Casters, shockingly. That happens a lot. Right. But then using that hashtag CanvasFAM. And what that really does is just sort of funnel all this amazing, helpful content sort of into one stream. So you can sort of just, take 10 minutes and sit down on the patio and search CanvasFAM and sort of get yourself caught up and get ideas and send those tweets to your email and check on them later when you're working, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. First, before we'll tell you a little bit about our backstory and kind of how we got started in this crazy, this show that absolutely stinks, by the way. I don't know why anybody listens to it, but it's fantastic. We've had a really good time. We've had fantastic guests. I think that's probably helped elevate the level of fun on the podcast. And I know we've had some Indiana educators, which is fantastic. We've had people all across America and people all across the world join us, which is super cool. I think when we first started, we told the story a little bit in another session that Marcus and I were doing. So we're going to kind of retell. It'll be retelling to us, but new to you. We had this really great conversation. Marcus has been using Canvas for God knows how long, the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And I was kind of brand new as someone who was getting ready to sign a contract with Canvas at Central 9 Career Center in Greenwood, Indiana. So we had this like cool conversation as I was using the platform for the first time. I was being introduced to every little new tool that was becoming available as Canvas was evolving and getting better as a platform. Everything that was happening, I was like super excited about. I was like, oh yeah, and then you can do this. And Marcus would be like, now wait a minute. When I was using Canvas full-time heavily as a teacher, I used to have to, do this thing and then some HTML and then a little bit of code. And then all of a sudden it would do what it needed to do. And I was like, whoa, there's a button for that now. Right. And he's like, what? There's a button. So I think, I think having those conversations before we started the podcast, kind of helped in my brain realize that we just had this super common discord, this little debate that was happening that I thought, man, this is cool. Like surely other people might get something out of this. And then if we could connect to the community, we connect to the people in Canvas that allows them to share their story. Like how cool would that be? So we sat down and started this in an Airbnb. Is that part of the story?
Yes, it sounds like something else, but yes, because Eddie and I, we don't live in the same town. I live up in West Lafayette, Indiana, and Eddie's there in Shelbyville, and so we kind of decided, hey, let's meet. So we figured Broad Ripple. We got an Airbnb, and we said, all right, we're gonna do this. We're going to make this podcast happen. And when I tell you that this, you want to talk about low budget, Bush League, like we've done that. Eddie, we've talked to all sorts of people. We've talked to students and classrooms and teachers in all different areas of the country, about starting podcasts.
Right.
Excuse me. And, how easy it is to at least get started with it and make it something that can be done in a classroom. And we sat down at a kitchen table at that Airbnb. Eddie was on his laptop. We had one mic, so we were like Aerosmith, we're like both singing into the same mic like rock stars. And you ever notice that like that's rock stars do that? They
right.
Sing into one mic. But we recorded that first podcast, one mic, one laptop, and a 6-pack of beer. The rest is history. And we've been going strong for about 2 years, Marcus. I think in October, it'll be 2 years, and we have a ton of episodes and a ton of guests. And I think the thing that we got the most, a lot of people are probably watching going, man, this is just a shameless plug for the Canvas casters. It is. It's a very long one. But we have had the opportunity to speak to people that are leading their districts as Canvas admin. We've had people that are just teachers using the platform. We've had elementary teachers. We've had, higher ed, people on. We've had admins. We've had district, the people that are technology integrations, career and tech ed. Like we tried to find as many people as we could in different aspects and areas. So we reached kind of a large audience. But what we found is that they were having, wherever they were from, right? They could be from Austin, Texas,
talking to us about this really cool thing that was going on, but they're struggling with teacher buy-in, or they're struggling with in that leadership and that thought conversation, I think was so refreshing at first for Marcus and I, because it's like, there are people out there having the same struggles as we are having with our districts and our people. So I thought that, that was the most impactful thing at the beginning for me, and it continues. And that's why this conversation about who we are and what we do is super important, because that backstory ties in to just getting you more deeply involved in the community. And that is, thanking the folks that not only have welcomed us into the Keep Indiana Learning community, Marcus, but also everybody out there that not only listens here in the state of Indiana or has participated in our podcast in some way or retweeted us. That means I think I get more giddy about the likes and retweets than I do about the listener count at this point, because it does feel like some of that stuff's reverberating across the community.
For sure. And, as we proceed this, I was going to say this afternoon, it's still morning. But as we proceed this morning, we want to obviously, express our gratitude to Keep Indiana Learning. I know for example, I've kind of been involved with the Central Indiana Service Center for years, and have done some work for them, and have gotten to know folks like Lena and Carrie. And when they came to this idea of doing this sort of virtually different conference, I thought, let's go, let's see it. And so I pretty amazing content for you guys to be able to gather and then have access to afterwards. So all of the sessions are recorded. You'll be able to go back and dig through archives later. But what a great way. I mean, when I tell, and Eddie and I have this, we're really lucky. I mean, yes, we're on Zoom calls a lot, but we get to talk to people all over the world, all over the country as part of our jobs. And when we tell people about things like this, events like this, Keep Indiana Learning, and this whole last 2 days, people are just wowed. So as an Indiana educator, we don't get to pat ourselves on the back very often, but I think the state, we're doing a lot of the right things the right way. And it's because of organizations like Keep Indiana Learning and all these groups of folks that I think ultimately, and Eddie, we're been doing it here for years now, and it's one of those things where we know we've got a pretty amazing group of educators in the state, and I think other states are starting to be like, well, Indiana, they're not messing around.
I can't tell you how many times it comes up in a conversation between Marcus and I, whether we meet with folks, during our day-to-days or our jobs. And something will kind of floor us, right? They'll say something that it's like, what we've been doing, Marcus, in Indiana, we've been doing that for like 6 years, and they're like brand new, and they're very frustrated about a specific thing. And it's like, we have to remember that like this bubble of great folks in Indiana that have been crushing this, folks like Tim, folks like Lena, folks like Carrie, the folks that are kind of leading the charge in Indiana on educational technology, have been ahead of this game for so long that there is that other states, when we talk to them, we're like, well, we have answers to that, or we have solutions, or we have people we can connect you with. And that is the great folks of the state. It is incredible. I think a lot of us would probably say Indiana's not really the leader in a whole lot. But I can tell you from talking to states all across America that when it comes time to like showing off some of the things that we do, folks that we speak with are just, they're like floored with seeing some of the progress. They're like, man, when did this start? And we're like, well, we've been doing this for a really long time. E-learning days were a thing way before the pandemic. Snow days, right. To replace was the first part of that. And there are folks out there that, have never considered that or have never done that. And it's super refreshing to know that we always have you guys to lean on to tell great stories through the podcast and through our day-to-day. So thank you right? A huge thank you, right? This is when Marcus starts singing. He does a little appreciation song, some Whitney Houston. But we appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for continuing to do the things that you do as educators, district leaders, tech admins, whoever's joining us today. But this has really been a hard year, I think, for you guys. And that's something Marcus and I super appreciate, that you guys have continued to lead the charge through this. I know there were some districts that certainly told me, like, man, I'm glad that we started e-learning before the pandemic. We kind of knew what to expect, not to this scale. Right, Marcus? No way to this scale, but they kind of knew. They knew how to go in. They knew how to work the system a little bit. Maybe they got a new system at the beginning of the year, but they get the concepts of e-learning or digital learning, kind of that hybrid blended environment. So I know I would like to say thank you. Marcus probably would also like to give his personal thanks.
I would like to say thank you to all it. No, but it's true. We're being silly. We're having a good time. But yeah, and we can't say it enough. And the truth is, let's face it, the 10 of us in this room, and the hundreds of thousands of folks that are accessing these sessions live and then asynchronously later on, at this point, there's nothing we can't, deal with in education. It's like, I don't want to think about what could possibly be worse than a worldwide pandemic, but I feel like we've come through, and we, Eddie and I have talked about this, and I'm not going to give away any big secrets, but it's a vital part of new things coming from the Canvas casters in the future. But
yeah,
we feel like the pandemic, as terrible as it has been, has ultimately done a lot of good for education, because it has forced us, whether we wanted to or not, it has pushed us off the ledge in terms of really rethinking our strategies. Our teacher tool belts are now completely different. And so what you're capable of doing now with technology, whether your kids are in the room or not, I think is it's astonishing to me how much improved we are as educators. And we were pretty darn good before. But this is really sort of hit like it's almost like a shock to the system. And I think we probably needed it. But it's an amazing thing to see what people are able to do now, particularly with Canvas. And we hear it all the time. Oh, this thing I did during quarantine or during the pandemic, I'm doing this when we get back to face-to-face, or immediately did that during last school year. And so that's what gets us fired up, is seeing how folks that are new to Canvas, who maybe had to just learn, baptism by fire, now are looking back, and you may be saying, man, so much of what I was forced to do before translates so well now to a face-to-face environment where I can now have a truly blended learning scenario in my classroom. And that's for kindergarten all the way through higher ed. So that carryover is something I think a lot of teachers have really sort of latched onto.
Yeah, and I really hope that we get to enhance your tool belt a little bit. Marcus talked a little bit about that today. And, we obviously did a pretty brief introduction there about who we are and why we think this is so important in connecting you to the greater community. But now we want to give you some resources. And for those of you that are not on Twitter, I will say this short message to you, which is, what are you waiting for? There are so many educators. And honestly, I think at this point, you get in this habit of people follow, and then you follow back, and all of a sudden you follow 3,000 or 4,000 people. And you're like, But I find even with that kind of news feed where there's so many people that I'm scrolling through that I'm connected with in education, I'm always finding something new or something that I want to steal or something that I'm going to tell somebody about to steal. Right. Because there's just so much innovation happening in that space where they can tell their story through tweets. So those of you that are brand new to Twitter, just being allowing, folks, educators, administrators, the opportunity to film or show this really cool thing and then tweet it out and show it off, take a picture of something, give a little short story, and having that feed of educators has been awesome. It's interesting because, Twitter has traditionally and continues to kind of be where I feel like most of our educators are. That's where we have Twitter chats. That's where we talk about education in this thought leadership way that's really enhanced an audience. So I love that Canvas is kind of the thought leader in a lot of this. Obviously that hashtag CanvasFAM. So if you just went to Twitter, you don't even need an account at this point. You can go to Twitter. They have like a little explore. There's a little hashtag button. You can click that button and type in CanvasFAM, and you are going to be connected with tons of fantastic, great educators that are out there doing amazing things. So I'll let Marcus talk a little bit about each one of these folks. We're not going to go one by one, obviously, but there are some folks on here that have done some fantastic things that we've had on the podcast. But if you search hashtag CanvasFAM, you'll kind of be connected to what we consider our Canvas innovators, are those folks that are influencing the product. They're talking about ways that they would like to see it grow or ways that they can see it enhance learning. And honestly, when I first started, this is the first place I went, and I was immediately connected to hundreds of thousands of people that were as excited about Canvas as I was, and that had the same struggles that I was having. Someone will answer your question, because there are folks probably in here that are like, I'm still struggling with this one part. Go to Twitter, go to hashtag CanvasFAM, put out a tweet. You will definitely be responded to. I can almost guarantee it.
Yes. Yeah. So this list here is very short, but if you're a Twitter user already, then you just take those names and you type them in and then you follow them. And these are folks that we've got classroom teachers, we've got administrators, we've got Canvas trainers here. Looking to see through. We've got higher education. This group kind of runs the gamut. But if I was going to say to you, you're brand new to Twitter, I would say start with these folks if you're going to start following people. If you're not brand new to Twitter, make sure you're following these people, and you will see that they'll show up in the feeds because they're active. But today for us and for Eddie and I, today is about basically all of the secrets. They're not secrets, but they are things that folks just don't realize are available that enhance and make your life so much better in terms of the use of Canvas, getting ideas, coming up with, seeing things, and then those things inspiring you to do things within your classroom. If you're a teacher and you're just sitting down and just trying to come up with everything in your own brain, bless your heart, but good gravy. Like, there's genius out there. Feel free to beg, borrow, and steal.
Right.
And so these are good places, good folks to start with.
And none of these folks are going to turn you down. I can almost guarantee. I can almost guarantee they may come over to your house and cook you dinner while they're showing you the help. Right. Just a few highlights here. If you're a super Google user and you're still trying to understand how Google integrates with Canvas and the LTI situation with the new Google tools, Cat Flippin is your go-to person on all things Google related. If you have super mega issues with the Google and Canvas integration, you gotta look for Cat. If you're in education, look for that BV Hallett and CB Gardner 16, Canvas for Education. Those are the two admins for the Canvas for Education Facebook group that has over 100,000 people in it, which is insane. Lots of other friends on here that we have. O Canada Tweet is an admin for a gigantic district in Oregon, Beaverton, Oregon, and he is the Canvas administrator there. So he is usually the go-to guy on all the clicks and tips and tricks. So be sure to reach out to him as well. There's so many other people, obviously the queen here, Kona Jones, who we've had on the podcast. And in fact, Marcus, am I wrong?
Yes.
All of these folks have been on the podcast.
Yeah, Kristen Lundstrom has not.
And Coach Flores.
And Flores.
Yeah.
But they're on the list.
They're on the list. They're on the list. Okay. So a couple resources for those that are like, okay, where do we go next? How do we get more involved in the community? How do we find out all of the things? I am here to let you know that as a user, as someone who was a part of this platform, Marcus, the community to me was always the place that I would end up after I Googled something, right? So I would, a teacher would come to me and say, how in the world do I get students to submit submissions through video on an assignment in Canvas? I don't know. I'm brand new. We bought this thing a week ago. So I would click, add a new tab. I would type in Google, how to add video submissions in an assignment in Canvas. The first link that is going to pop up, I guarantee you, is going to be a community.canvaslms.com link. 100%, right? And I believe that link continues to be live today. Community.canvaslms.com. You always worry, like I'm going to get to a website and it'll be down for maintenance, which we are rarely down for maintenance in Instructure. But 1.3 million folks, Marcus, that are members of the Canvas community. I was told the vendor that was kind of showing us some new tools inside the Canvas community that I'm getting ready to show you. I was told that we are one of the most active community members, or the most active community in kind of their purview of clients, and it is a huge company, which was like, whoa! But that's true. 1.3 million folks. There are currently 4,000 people online. And this is where you can search the community. You can engage with community by, writing your own post. If you're looking for answers, all of the Canvas guides in here, the Canvas Q&A sessions are in here, troubleshooting Canvas is in here. You can join specific groups. You can follow folks, all of those folks that we showed you on Twitter. You can do it right here inside the community. Now, again, I always tell the community team that we're close with, that Marcus and I have met with a time or two, I always say, like, I am the worst community user in the world because I have an account. I don't really contribute on a blog. I may comment here or there, but honestly, the only time I'm ever in the community is because I got there because I was Googling something or searching an answer.
Right.
But yeah, so I always say, like, I'm the worst at the community side.
Well, I think for me, and Eddie kind of alluded to it, like you can go and Google whatever, right? If you're an instructional coach, if you're a tech coach, if you're a teacher, if you're an administrator, just go Google the thing. However, what I tend to tell people is cut out the middleman. Google is the middleman. You can just go to community.canvaslms.com, bookmark that, put it right there in your bookmark bar, say that again, and then you can immediately get to that spot. The thing that's great about the community, yes, it'll show up if you Google, but you're going to a place where the content is vetted, okay? The community content is vetted. There is an entire team of people who are consistently here, updating, and answering and checking and cross-checking and referencing. You go to Google and you type things, it's the wild, wild west. There's gonna be stuff out there that is completely bonkers, completely out of this world, wrong in some cases. You cut out the Google search, you go straight here. By the way, in your Canvas instance, it's in your navigation. It's in your navigation on the left side. It's the question mark at the bottom where it's like help. You can get to the Canvas community there within your instance. So you're like in Canvas and you're like, I just hit a brick wall. I need help. You don't even have to open another tab. You just click on help and you can get to it. But as Eddie is within the community, I'm gonna ask him to, yes, exactly. So see right there, you can go in and you can see all of this assistance that's sort of linked right into your own Canvas instance. And it might look slightly different. Some of you might have a bunch of different options, but the Ask the Community is there, and that's the one that'll get you where you need to go. But Eddie, I want you to go back to the community page because Eddie talked about this a little bit. I never, as a classroom teacher, 16 years in the classroom, 4 or 5 as an integration coach and tech nerd guy, I never leveraged what you're seeing right now to its full potential. And again, hindsight's 2020, but this site needs to be top priority for everyone here and anyone that you're going to interact with in your buildings. Because yes, you've got the topics there and you can search a topic and you can see these sort of conversations that happen. For me, there's so much help in terms of the roadmaps, in terms of the actual like screenshot, play-by-play tutorials content that's here as well.
Yeah, the Canvas guides are phenomenal and fantastic. As an instructor, you can go into the instructor guides and actually see instructor guides for every tool that's inside Canvas. Now, to me, this is overwhelming, but there might be 1 or 2 tools that you're super passionate about that you're like, I just need to learn more. Maybe it's the calendar feature inside Canvas. I can click calendar and hear all the questions or common questions that people have. How do I use calendar as an instructor? That's a very high level question, but now you have screenshots, you have walkthroughs. It gives you everything that you need. Again, Marcus and I are not the prime candidates to talk about how, community changed our lives because we have never utilized it to its fullest potential. There's just so much available, and it's something that I would bookmark if you are looking for ways to either get more involved in the community or find answers to your questions, district questions, teachers' questions, whatever your role may be. So it's a fantastic spot. And again, it cuts out the middleman. Again, I can Google the same thing by just going to community first instead of going to Google first, searching it, and I've got all my vetted content to look at.
Yeah, vetted and updated. So, for example, and if you've been in Canvas for even a year, maybe last year was just your first year in Canvas, you have certainly seen that there have been some slight changes and tweaks, and this button maybe looks a little bit different now, and maybe this button got moved and things of that nature. These guides are updated to reflect that. So it's not like you're going to somehow find some tutorial guide that is outdated. Right. Again, there's a team of people that deal with this, and so to that extent, so keeping that in mind. And then thinking about, the upcoming school year, if I'm a team leader, if I'm a grade level, department head, if I'm a tech integration, if I'm a principal or assistant principal, if there are some keystone skills or tools within Canvas that, your district or your school is focusing on, I would find that person. Maybe you're that person. I would have been that person. This is where I go to build my own cheat sheet for teachers.
Yep.
Right. So if you're a department head or a principal and you're like, look, I need to have my teachers all doing these 3 things in Canvas first semester, fall 21. These are the basics that we all have to do. Whether it be building level, grade level, whatever it might be, I would come here and I would say, okay, I want to make sure that everybody's using a homepage. I'm finding content on the homepage and I'm pulling those links and I can dump those into a Google Doc. I can make it look pretty if I want, but ultimately, and Eddie's smirking, I can see it because he knows where I'm going. We love a one sheet. Eddie and I love a one sheet. So you can go here, you can build your one sheet that's like, fall 2021, non-negotiables in Canvas, and you can provide boom, boom, boom. Here are those guides for those things. Here are some links to some support, and we're going to show you some more other options. But you can build that one sheet right here, probably completely, almost completely right here in the community. And you have something that's vetted, that is timely and updated. And it is going to be, a godsend for teachers who are new to Canvas or just need a little bit more guidance.
So use the community, and I would recommend, and this is a shameless plug for our Instructure live streams, but we just brand new that we were talking with the vendors of this product, the platform yesterday, and brand new to the platform that I am involved in is our events page, and specifically what we're now calling Instructure Live. Kind of used to be Canvas Live, Canvas live streams. You've seen this kind of everywhere, talked about it in different fashions if you're tied into the community at all. But we just launched Instructure Live, and Instructure Live is just a fantastic place where we are able to create events. You, as a user of the community, can also create events. So that's what's amazing about this, that there isn't any, obviously we're moderating and things like that, but there is a way for you as a user to say, hey, we're hosting this event at my district. It's going to be about Canvas. We're going to, have it open to anyone that wants to attend, and launching it in the community is a great place to kind of make that announcement. So you can see here that there are a number of already scheduled events. This is also where we're now hosting all of our live streams. We're still doing them on YouTube, our Facebook pages, those types of things, which I'll talk about in a minute. But we're putting them in the community as just a great way for you to be able to attend. If you see other community users that are attending, you can collaborate with them. Again, these are folks that are vetted. These are folks that are tied into the community. So they're Canvas users, and they're not, somebody that thinks they know everything, that might not even be using the platform because they used it 5 years ago, which is always our bugaboo, right? So, but definitely check this page out. I am putting this link into the chat as well. So those of you that want to get this resource directly, that's not the right thing. There we go. How about that? I don't know why I put a B, but yo, B. Let's go to live stream here. Like the tag is the biggest thing. So if you go to live stream, that's where you're going to see all of the events that I do on the Canvas live stream. And I'll talk a little bit about more of those in a second. But these are all of the ones we have scheduled through the 2nd of July. So we're obviously doing a digital learning day with some California districts tomorrow. We do 6 of those in one day. So that's kind of a fun piece. But the best part about this is if you click in, to that event, that Instructure Live event, when you click into that, you can hit play and you can watch it right here inside the platform. You never have to leave, which means conversation can stay in the community with, again, vetted people and not some guy in his basement on YouTube.
That's what I was going to say. You stole my joke. I was like, yeah, it's not Steve in his basement.
Right. And then you can select that you're attending. You can send invites to other people in your district, or you can add it to your calendar. I just love this platform. I'm super excited. We've added all of our events here from now on. There's also an Instructure Live calendar that you can subscribe to in Google. And I'll see if I can get the link. And if you subscribe to that, you'll be able to see all these events. Typically, your CSM or salesperson or your Canvas admin has access to that. So I would ask around. But these live streams for us have been super valuable. I remember as a customer or client now working for the company and running these live streams, just how valuable these were. We actually started these live streams because of the pandemic, because we wanted users to be able to get online quickly and learn as much as they could in a really fast fashion, because they weren't like the Indiana educators that we talked to today, which have been doing e-learning days for quite some time. They were brand new to any type of digital learning. They may have just gotten Chromebooks 6 months before the pandemic, and then all of a sudden, oh, now we have to use these things. Somebody said they're more than just a cup holder or something like that the other day, or a or a placeholder on a. I was like, man, that's crazy, because we've been doing this a long time. So I appreciate that. Any views, any subscribes, definitely check this out. The YouTube channel is a fantastic place to get a ton of resources. I'm going to let Marcus talk a little bit more about the Canvas Leadership series, the institutes that he is a part of now as an employee of Instructure. So Marcus, take it away. Marcus.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome back.
Lots of wonky internet situation just there. All I heard was I'm going to let Marcus talk about, and then it was yeah.
Which is what you'll hear on the podcast, folks. If you tune in.
This is the kind of magic that you can expect on the podcast. Okay, leadership, Canvas leadership. So, as Eddie said, Eddie works for the company. I too work for the company. I'm literally like 2 months in at Instructure, but I am the senior manager for the Center for Leadership and Learning. And we're honestly, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right here. You heard it here first. The Center for Leadership and Learning is the best kept secret of Instructure. And I'm looking to change it so that it's not so much of a secret. But the truth of it is, what we do, our goal, it's happening literally right now as we speak. I had to leave it to come and present here today. What we do, our team, is we focus our professional development on leadership within your district, university, or entity. So what we provide is usually focused, the audience is usually focused on instructional coaches, assistant principals, and on up to superintendents. Because I believe, the director, Robin Lawrence, we believe that, a large part of the effectiveness of an implementation of something like Canvas has to include the leadership of your district. I'll give you an example. This is the same example I always use. Eddie, you can take a nap. If I'm a classroom teacher, I am being held accountable for the things that I do in my classroom. I'm getting evaluated. And if my administrator comes into my room, sees all of my sophomores on their devices, but my evaluator doesn't know anything about Canvas, like nothing, then how can they really give a valid evaluation of how I'm integrating technology into my classroom? I mean, I guess they could say, yes, look how great you're doing, Marcus. They all have computer screens in front of their faces. Good job. And maybe that's enough. But what I believe is that if leadership in the district knows what good tech integration looks like, knows what a blended learning lesson should look like or can look like, knows some basics about Canvas, and even better, has enough training from the Center of Leadership and Learning to be able to function within Canvas themselves, then that's better for everybody. And so we have the virtual Canvas Leadership Institutes and workshops. We have Mastery Connect Institutes and workshops. Mastery Connect is a formative assessment tool that works right within Canvas. And so those are our primary professional learning opportunities that we provide. And it is an amazing opportunity for folks that are in leadership roles to see how the whole thing works. Because what we do is we provide professional learning to your superintendent, and your superintendent is a student in our course. And so they get to see the inner workings as a student, and it's really impactful. And so definitely keep that in mind. If you're an administrator, by all means, reach out if you have any interest. If you're a teacher, by all means, again, hit us up. But then transitioning from the leadership element, then you've got the Canvas Certified Educator program. Eddie, let them know.
Yeah. So this was something that before, when we first started the podcast, and Marcus and I were super just into ed tech and our ed tech world, and we're doing, these discussions around Google, because Google Innovator, Google Trainer, Google Level 1, Google Level 2, like Google is heavily used around the state, by a lot of folks, and we were, exclusively using Google for a long time. There's nothing wrong with that, but they had fantastic programs, level 1 certification, level 2 certification. Educators could get in easily and get some really good training materials from their training center. And Canvas was just starting doing this. With Marcus I were talking about, like, they should do this. This should be a thing. Like, why doesn't Canvas?
We came up with it.
Yeah, we thought we came up with it. A huge company. They're obviously working on it. And 3 months later, they launched the Canvas Certified Educator program, which is very similar. If you're familiar with Google Level 1 or Google Level 2, it's very similar to kind of the same process. And I'm putting the links to all these resources in the chat as well, so you don't have to dig these out, but they are linked in the presentation that will be shared. For sure, check this program out specifically if you're an educator and you're looking to get, more. You'll have a mentor. It's kind of cohorted. They have specific, dates and windows open at specific times, which is fantastic. But I think I wish that I could have went through this program as a user, because they really dive into not only what the tool does. You're going to learn clicks and tips and tricks, right? You're going to learn all the things, but just the best practiced way, right, to figure that out. Something that's going to help you be more efficient as an educator, something that's going to help you get around the platform a little bit easier. Then you'll be kind of the Canvas Jedi at your district, right? You'll get a fancy badge and all the things that, we're kind of used to. But the goal is that you become a Canvas certified educator, because that CCE program, if you go to CanvasFAM, you'll see a lot of people talking about the CCE program. I don't read them all, but I have seen nothing but positives from folks that have went through this program, that have talked to some of what I always considered, the Mount Rushmore of Canvas, the folks that actually work here. You get to learn from them, and you get to have those conversations with them. They're all fantastic people running that program.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to be a part of the beta of this program, to sort of get in while it was being designed and see how it was going to function and how it was going to work. And Eddie made the point. Yes, you get sort of the fundamental, foundational click by click. I don't like the word training, but that's what you get that. But what sets this apart from, other similar things, and I think truthfully, this sets this apart a bit from like what I experienced with becoming a Google trainer, is the thought, the mindset, the sort of learning philosophies connected to what you do within Canvas. And the reason, I'll give you just one example. Right out of the gate, the very first lesson that I saw within the beta, I don't know where it lands now, but it was centered on the SAMR model. And right then and there, and I even said this to one of the folks that built the course later on in a meeting, I said, that's when I knew that this was going to be different than a lot of other sort of tech training, is that these are set up in such a way where there's this balance between having your mind thinking about best practices and learning that stuff, and then applying it to the clicks. And why is it important that this thing be accessible? Why is it important that we consider these things when we design a page? Why is it important to use media to support communication that you do via text? So we got into the why. And again, that was just one small lesson, but immediately I was like, this is gonna be something. And it's awesome.
And it's accessible for almost every learning modality that you might have, like, UDL or SAMR, as Marcus mentioned. They really try to find a way, and not try, because they can tie it with research, but they are tying research and those UDLs and SAMRs and all the things that you might do in your district, because everyone is different. I think they have a number of, of charts and courses and pieces that fit into your mold, that will say, oh, you use UDL? Well, let me show you like 10
Right.
things that will allow
Yeah.
you to enhance that instruction, by doing this XYZ in Canvas. And I think it's just a fantastic piece of things that we provide and offer to our educators. We are coming up on time. Marcus and I have definitely chewed your ear off enough for an hour on all things CanvasFAM and community. But if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chats, reach out to us. We are, Marcus, go ahead and throw your email out there for folks if they want to get a hold of you. I'll throw mine out. We can do our Twitter handles. Obviously, sharing the presentation, you can find your way to us in that fashion as well.
You can get to me at edtechmarcus@gmail. You can get to me at Marcus at
His new email, folks. He's got to remember,
right.
how to type that out.
And you can, of course, get to us at CanvasCasters on Twitter. We do have Facebook. We do have Instagram. We tend to deliver the content in Twitter, and then it sort of makes its way to the other platforms, secondarily. What else? Oh, we do have a couple of questions in the app that were posted, prior to the event. So one question says, because of the pandemic, I mastered the basics of Canvas. What can I do next? Where can I learn more? I hope we answered your question. I feel like we did.
Yeah.
I feel like we did. Obviously, the community page is huge. The YouTube channel is huge. The live events within community, the live streams. I hate to make it sound like it's too much or overwhelming, but there's so much quality support. And all of this stuff is happening without you having to call anyone.
Right.
The wild thing, right? And if we take all the stuff we talked about today, you have all of that at your fingertips as a classroom teacher without having to know a name or a phone number of any other human being that works at Instructure. With that being said, many of you do have that. Many of you do have CSMs, you do have a point of contact, you do have someone you can reach out to. So then you add that layer to it as well. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it can, I suppose it could be overwhelming, but there's so much.
I think if you're a basic, like if I've got a few basics, I just want to dive deeper, I want to learn more. Talk to your folks about the Virtual Leadership Institute. Talk to your folks about and being involved in that, so that you're not the only person that gets it, right? Or as well as taking those CC, you might, the basic stuff you're gonna kind of breeze right through, but then when they start diving deeper and get into some change management stuff, I think you'd really enjoy it. So that would be my 2 cents.
And the second question we got, and this is a specific one, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I think I can speak to this.
Oh, here we go.
Laugh when you find out. It says, I am new to Canvas and would love to learn the best way to use Canvas with my students in an elementary school library. All ideas are welcome. And I say this because, believe it or not, I am a licensed media specialist. Yes. A lot of people don't know that about me. But I do have some experience, and how I would use Canvas, how I did use Canvas in a library setting. My library was middle school, high school, but we had Battle of the Books. My daughter participated in Battle of the Books. It's super, you can manually create courses in Canvas, right? Not just the ones that are your classes that come from your information system. You can manually create a course for anything, right? So you could, if you're a coach, if you're the soccer coach, you can make a Canvas course and invite all your soccer players to it and all their parents to it, and there's your communication platform. But in a library setting, reading groups, you can have kids join groups based on their interests, right? So you may have, in an elementary setting, you may have kids who love to read the nonfiction. You have kids that love to read the fantasy, the Harry Potter and things like that. You can let them sign up for reading groups and then put them into courses. And then you can have the ability to provide content that's specific to their interests. You can share websites with them that's specific to them. There's really no limit to the options you have. And all you have to be is, you know, as the media specialist in your district or in your school, you have a Canvas account. So the only thing that might need to be changed, you might have to talk to your IT person to just let you have access to all the kids in the school rather than just kids who are enrolled in a class. For example, if I teach 3rd grade, my 30 kids are there. Those are my kids. I probably can't, you know, interact with kids outside of my classroom. As a library person, you need access to all the kids in the building. And so that's the only thing that would be different. And once you have that, you can create all sorts of courses, you can group kids, you can have all sorts of interactions that are in addition to them coming in for read alouds, them coming in for their weekly visit to the library to check out books and turn in books. Now you're kind of enhancing the reading activity because now it can go beyond that once a week experience, which is maybe, hopefully it's more than that. But, you know, in my experience in the buildings that I've been in, usually every class in the elementary gets into the library once a week and they turn in a book, they get a new book, you know, they got their AR goals and we rock. So
Yeah,
hopefully there's something there you can use.
for sure. Are there any other questions on the app, Marcus, before we dial
Nope.
this back? All right, Tim, let us loose. We appreciate you guys so much for you know, let us loose. Let everybody out of here before they
Absolutely. Just a
you know,
quick thank you to you guys again. Eddie, Marcus, it's always a pleasure. I always learn so much when you guys are sharing the content. So I appreciate that. And just a reminder to everybody who is with us today, please fill out that survey that's located in Whova for this session. And that gets you your PGP points. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the conference. Peace out.
peace.